So I wanted to see how you got so interested in bodybuilding.
My cousin actually did a bodybuilding show when
Mhm.
I was just 5 years old, something like that.
Right, right, right.
And I still live in my hometown. We have, 500 people when everybody's home. You know what I mean? It's a little
In Canada, right?
firm. Yeah, yeah, Eastern Canada, New
Okay.
Brunswick. So I have this cousin and he did a bodybuilding show. He brought
Hmm.
us, he brought us the tape, whatever, he showed us, and he hauls off his shirt and he's flexing, and we're like, "Oh, geez, look at this guy." My dad was quite built, but
Right, right,
he never looked at a weight. He doesn't diet. He's an old school work,
right,
eat
right.
once at the end of the day type
A
guy.
a real man.
A man's man.
Yeah, exactly. I know exactly what
So
you think.
my cousin, he did bodybuilding shows, and there was local shows, and they were pretty good from what I remember when I was a kid,
Mm.
right? So right away, I loved it. But what I didn't know.
All right. Got my first bodybuilding collaboration with Mark from Mark's Max Muscle. What's up, man?
Very, very pleased to be a guest on the show. I was introduced to you by another friend of mine, EP09. I don't know if you watch his channel,
Mm,
Bodybuilding News.
I probably have. I'm always on these things, and but I don't remember specifically. No, so I apologize. But
He sent me a link. He sent me a link and he said, "Did you see this guy? This John uh, Silliness and
yeah, serious and
Silly,
silliness. Yeah,
Serious Silliness." And I watched and I'm like, "Wow, this." I know I feel like I'm interviewing you here, but
it's okay. It's
I'm
no
a
big
guest
deal.
on your show. But I'm like, your personality, it's awesome.
I
It's like
appreciate that, man, and that's
you
the whole idea of
you do the there was the things that I hate at the gym.
yeah, that was great.
Yeah. So you're like at the end, you're like, anything else? No, that's it for now.
Yeah, 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 yeah. That's
But
the thing. What a
that's what
lot
we
of
need.
body,
That's what we need.
no, exactly. A lot of building podcasts. I mean, they're very okay. Look, I love Nick Strength and Power, right? And he's got the
He's a
biggest bot.
standard. He's a
But
standard.
yeah, right. But it's his personality never changes. It's monotone. There's never nothing, right? So
Yeah.
I was like, well, okay. In order for me to succeed, I got to kind of put some more into it,
Do
and
something different.
yeah, but that's just me, and I was like, and I've always been a
If it
fan of
wasn't you, it wouldn't work.
right, 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 right. And I was like, I just got to do something different. And no bodybuilder has that's why I call it. Well, I have three YouTube channels, right? And
Heard you mention that.
yeah, and I originally it was serious and silliness because there are some topics that are going to be, you got to be serious about, and some that you could just goof off. And that's probably, yeah, right. And that's probably my personality in a nutshell. So, but then what happened was I spread it out into three. So I made it Serious and Silliness Outcasts, which is the original channel where I interview people that just don't really fit in society well. So there's like uh former mafia members, 1% bikers, porno stars. I interviewed a Ku Klux Klan. I got Tom Sizemore's last interview before he died, actually. And then I started the other two in January. Serious and Silliness Bodybuilding, which is the one and then there's Serious and Silliness Guy Talk, which is really just me and my friends dicking around. I don't even concentrate on that. I don't think I have 100 subscribers on that one.
Well, I tried a similar thing.
Yeah,
I have three channels myself.
right.
I had a pro wrestling channel, and I changed that to I call it Mark's Max Muscle with a K and an S
Mm-hmm.
instead of an X. And I was going to post lives and my workouts, things of
Mm,
that nature,
right.
and maybe some wrestling stuff. And then I have an outdoor channel where I'm
I
making
saw
eat
that.
what.
I saw that.
Yeah,
That was pretty cool.
but then I figured out that it's actually a risk to get two channels monetized.
Why?
I don't know. I don't know. Like I said, I'm half. I'm not very bright when it comes to computers.
I
My wife,
actually was I was
my
actually
wife
on
has
the
done everything for me. So,
oh, that's good.
but she
I'm
she was checking in on it, and she said that it's actually risky because I have enough time on one of my channels
mhm,
to get monetized, and I have enough subscribers.
right. The bodybuilding one, I'm assuming.
Yeah, the Marks Max, the other
Right,
Marks.
right, right. Yeah, I actually I started off doing a variety channel. So what was difficult was that variety channels won't work very well on YouTube unless the person doing it is like some kind of celebrity and they come to watch you. But for the most part, it is difficult because of how the algorithm works. So that's why I spread it up into three. And I'll be honest with you, um, I've been concentrating mostly on the bodybuilding one. And look, if that's the case, I'll just drop the other two. It's really no big deal because bodybuilding has always been my since I was a kid, I love bodybuilding. Yeah, that's just since I'm in grade school. So if that's the case, I would just get rid of the other two. But I don't have enough subscribers to get monetized on this one yet. So we'll go for it. So how did you get? So tell me about. Speaking of pro wrestling, I
And just before you go ahead,
go ahead.
for those of you who are watching from my channel, because I'm going to share this link,
Oh, thank you.
go over and subscribe and get serious and silliness up to 1,000 subscribers for goodness
Uh,
sakes.
Thank you, please, thank you. And you missed the. You got to tell them about how I predict bodybuilding outcomes. That's pretty cool too. Did you ever
Hey,
see that?
I'm the Nostradamus. I'm predicting that you're going to be the next Nick Trigili. Nick Trigili.
Yeah, I hope so.
And we're allowed to mention his name on here, by the way.
Yeah, I don't pull any punches. I don't pull any punches. I don't like that is my pet peeve. I hate when people dance around something because they're afraid or so I don't I had him and I keep in touch on like Instagram every once in a while. We'll hit each other up. And he ripped me apart when I had a show on muscular development and that had a
That's
bad
that's
fall.
why that's why I was saying we can mention their names.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
Because they told you that you were not allowed to mention Dave Palumbo's name.
Right. Nobody's name.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, I couldn't mention
That's
any other. I couldn't mention any other podcast. I couldn't.
and I'm
I,
not saying anything like Ron Harris. He's an awesome guy.
dude,
I
I have always admired him
Me too.
because of muscular development and what he has done. But when you get to know somebody a little bit, um, he's not the kind of person that likes to deal with something head on. Because when I first was having problems, well, I was only there for 6 months, right? And I don't know. Do you know the story?
I watched your video.
Okay, so
They
you know
they
the base.
they, they jerk you around.
Yeah, they wanted me originally. They wanted me to. I was going to go to the New York Pro to begin with
You
because
felt like they could rehash the story anyway. I mean,
yeah, Carlos Thomas Jr. was going to do it. Then he got sick and pulled out, and he was on my panel. And Nate Spear was going to do it. So I was like, all right, I'll be there. If the two guys that are on my show that are going to be there, and this show's right, like literally, it's like 20 minutes away from me. So I'm like,
oh
I'm going. So they contact me, and the girl Jenny contacts me and says, "Oh, are you going?" She goes, "How would you like to cover the show with Ron Harris?" I was like, "Are you kidding? It'd be an honor. Absolutely, I'd love it."
yeah,
Yeah, right, exactly. So as it's getting closer and closer and closer, I'm like, okay, what do I have to do? How do I dress? I'm asking Ron, how do I dress? Because he always wears a suit. I don't really want to wear a suit. I ask him if I can get a t-shirt, from MD. So I bought a t-shirt. I got the tickets, but now they're kind of like dancing around. Like I
which
don't
I'm sure
remember.
they gave you the T-shirt.
No, no, no. I had to pay for the t-shirt. I had to pay for the
Oh,
t-shirt.
what?
Yeah, I paid for the
No,
t-shirt. Yeah, paid
I
for the
I
t-shirt.
I knew that. I knew that.
I paid
Which
for the
is
t.
ridiculous. Which is
Yeah,
ridiculous.
I paid for the t-shirt. I paid for the tickets, and I paid for. Obviously, I was not getting paid for the show, and I was not getting paid to cover anything, which was fine with me. I didn't really care. I mean, I was like, it
You
was
just wanted
giving,
the
it
you
was
wanted the
giving,
experience.
it was giving me exposure too. And I forgot exactly what. Oh God, I'd have to go back and transpire, but I had gone back and forth with Jenny, and I asked her to. I said, okay, what the fuck? Oh, Okay. What had happened was, oh God, I don't remember. I asked to be reimbursed for the tickets or something to that effect. I
Well,
have to go.
you shouldn't have had to pay for a ticket.
Yeah,
They should
and
give you a press pass.
oh, that's what it was. It was the press pass. I said,
Yeah.
that's exactly what happened.
They
I said,
they
how do I
they told you to go get your own press pass.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, I can't even believe. I asked Jenny, how do I go and get my own press? Oh, I asked Ron Harris first. How do I go and get my own press pass? He goes, you got to talk to Jenny. I said, okay. So I talked to Jenny, and I go, how do I get my own press pass? And she goes, you have to get it. Email these people. I'm like, all right. So I emailed them, or I guess they're NPC people or whatever. And oh no, IFBB people, whatever, same shit. And they're like, oh, sorry, we're all out of press passes. So I go back to her and I said, we're all out of press pass. I was like, what do I do now? She goes, well, you have to buy a ticket. I said, okay.
Lovely.
So I said, okay. How do I get reimbursed? And she goes, reimbursed. And I still have all the text messages. And she goes, reimbursed. We just thought you were going to be there. And I'm like, okay, all right. So I call up
You were
Ron.
coming anyway.
Yeah. So I call up Ron, and because I'm very direct, right? Now I'm not disrespectful, but I'm very direct. So I call up Ron. I was like, Ron, what the fuck is going on? I was like, you guys asked me to. I have no problem. I was like, you can't give me a press pass. I gotta pay my own tickets. I gotta buy a t-shirt. And it's like, oh, maybe there was a misunderstanding, and he's going back and forth and back and forth. So I told Ron, I was like, listen, I'll be there. He's like, okay. So I go there, and it's I don't have the press pass. I buy all the tickets in VIP, so I'm close enough. But the press people are in front of me. So he's there with Jose Raymond, because it was him and Jose Raymond covering it. So after the prejudging, I went over to him. I said, "Do you want me with you outside? To do the?" And he goes, "If you want." So I go outside, and I'm talking to Jose Raymond, and I could feel the tension, right? Because Harris is not saying a word. He's just setting up the camera, right? And I said, Ron, do you want me here or not? And he goes, no hard feelings though. And I was like, all right. And I walked away. And then the next day I messaged him, told him I'm not coming back. And then that's when I did the video. But you see how I hate somebody that cannot speak to you direct. You know what I mean? I would have been like, look, John, listen, here's the deal. Here's what happened. We fucked up. Right. We certainly didn't mean to disrespect you. We meant no harm, whatever. I'll do what I can for the next one, but here's the scenario A, B, and C. And if that would have happened, I would have been like, Ron, don't worry about it, man. You gave me a shot. It's a misunderstanding, no big deal. But that didn't happen. Everybody was running in circles because they didn't want to tell me that they didn't want me there. And it's like, I get that I'm not a fucking, I know I'm not Jose Raymond. I'm not a fucking bodybuilding superstar. I get it.
So
yeah, just fucking tell me. And, and I would have never blown them up. And then I went on RX Muscle, and then I blew them up on RX Muscle. But I would never did that if the phone call from Jenny would have been, hey, look, we really messed up. We apologize. We'll reimburse you for the tickets. We got you next time. We got things confused. We made mistakes. Then I would have been like, no problem. Don't worry about it. It's fine. But that didn't happen at all. That didn't happen at all. So to me, it's now I'm working for people that are just, don't have good character. It's just, if I fuck up, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to say, Mark, listen, here's the deal. I know I said this, but I fucked up. And here's the scenario.
Made a video. You just made a video the other day where you said you
oh, yeah. Yeah, that's right.
People like that.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. I was with my friend.
There's too many guys like, I don't want to pick on Bob Ciccarello. It seems to be the flavor of the month. Let's pick on Bob. Right. I always like Bob. The body.
Right.
But yeah, he's like, he'd make a whole video, just one little aspect that he was wrong or something. He's like, see, I'm not wrong.
Yeah,
I'm right. And it's like, well, who cares? Who cares?
Yeah. If you're gonna poke fun of other people, you got to be able to fucking poke fun of yourself. So what happened was, it was a Chicago Pro, and as soon as the shows are over, I jump on and do a review or a wrap up, whatever you want to call it. But I was with my friends in the yard, and my wife was there with her girlfriends, and we were shooting the shit, and we were drinking. We were just hanging out. We were drinking. So I'm a few beers deep, and I'm not much of a drinker to begin with. And I got, feeling no pain. I'm fucking half cocked. And I was like, guys, I got to go do a podcast. I'll be back in 20 minutes. So I come back.
Or you're just gonna boom.
Yeah. The next
Get it
morning
up.
I wake up. Next morning I wake up and I'm like hungover, and I look at my phone and I look at the video, and somebody leaves a comment. I don't remember who left the comment and said, dude, John De La Rosa came in second. I don't even remember what place I had him in. Right. And I was like, John De La Rosa came in second. Oh, fuck. I fucked up all the placings. So I deleted the whole thing. I redid
you
it.
have the video up though.
No, I did have the video up for like
I did
10 hours. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what happened was I deleted it and then I redid it, making fun of myself, and you can see it says, don't drink and podcast, and blah, blah, blah. And, and just made fun of myself, and because I totally screwed up. But, I went back. The good news was I actually predicted the 1, 2, and 3, like, accurately.
Your predictions.
Yeah.
My predictions were way off.
Yeah. You know what it is? It's not.
They're fun.
Yeah. The reason why I'm pretty good at the predictions and is you got to add the human element to it. Right. And that's a show that Blessing Awodabu should have walked away with.
Now, the reason why you said you didn't put him in,
right?
That's almost the reason why I did think he was going to be on, because he wasn't saying anything. I thought this time he was going to keep quiet, but you're right. He's Blessing. He would not do that.
Yeah, no, he would definitely not do that. I knew he was out of shape because he talks shit and he likes to talk shit. That's part of his character. That's part of his makeup.
I did not see Justin coming, first of all.
Really?
I thought for sure his back was going to be so weak. His back's not the best, but it improved.
Yeah.
And his lower half from behind is incredible.
His back is impressive. If you go back and look
I'm going by his old stuff though.
Oh, okay. When he was okay, but when you go back and look at his Instagram, and he has, like, from a couple of weeks ago, he has
thick.
Yeah, and that's a lot of guys lack that. A lot of guys lack that lower back thickness. Not too many. Usually, a lot of guys their lats start higher, and then it goes almost like a forgive me for making it's just an analogy, almost like a Phil Heath or a Kai Green. It goes all the way down to the waist, and that's rare. But if you're able to do that, if you're able to have that with a small waist, that makes a big difference from the back. And as much as I love John De La Rosa, I know he doesn't have that. And
it's
been been a while. He made a great showing. Usually, I love John as a bodybuilder, even as a person too, actually. Because I've had several conversations with him. I had him on my show once on muscular development, and when you look at Stanimal, you give him his credit because he came from Men's Physique, but he just doesn't have the size. So it doesn't matter if you come in chiseled. If you don't have the size, the judges are going to pick the perfect package. And Justin Shire was clearly, in my opinion, the perfect package. If John would have came in 5-10% harder, he could have won, right? But
I don't see it in his cards.
Yeah, because he's older. He's older now, and he's taken some time off. But I have seen
years off just to get out of the swing of things. I'm impressed with the showing that he did have.
Absolutely, at 100%. And so
Stanimal,
to me,
I'm impressed with
Stanimal. The reason why I'm impressed with Stanimal is because the guy came from Men's Physique, and he went from Men's Physique to Men's Classic Physique, and then went to the Open. And he's breaking the top 2, top 3 in every Open show. Now, I know the shows are weak because for some reason they don't want to fucking compete. I don't know why. I know the shows are weak, but
for his caliber, he's doing good. For his caliber.
So, but I don't know of any other athlete, any other IFBB pro that went from Physique to Classic Physique to Open and is breaking the top 2 or top 3 in a pro show. And he knows he doesn't have the size, so he has to come in chiseled. He clearly doesn't have the size. He gets destroyed on the front double bicep because his arms aren't big enough, but he's fucking chiseled, and that's the only thing he's got. And that his conditioning carries him to, number 2, number 3, number 4, whatever the case may be.
He's got an impressive abs and thigh.
He does. But you know, when he does his side, he did a side tricep next to Hassan Mustafa and did a side tricep, and you could clearly see the difference. You know, he's half the size, but I don't know how old he is. I actually will be having him on soon. We spoke through Instagram.
Now, how do you say his last name?
Stan Long. I don't know. I just call him Stanimal. I don't even know, and I don't know.
I was saying his name wrong, and I've been making videos on him.
Oh, dude, I've been saying Sheer for forever. Justin Sheer, Justin Sheer. Yeah. Let's
I just made a evolution of Stanimal.
Oh, okay, cool. Right, exactly.
I showed where he was classic or men's physique.
Yeah, men's physique first,
then classic.
Right
you
now,
you could see the calves on him and stuff when he was men's physique.
You could see the guys a lot of times, you know. And I remember Phil Heath actually said this. A lot of guys are going to use these categories as stepping stones to get to the open or get to 212 or whatever the case may be, and it turned out to be true. And he took a lot of shit from it when they first came out, but it happens to be true.
It's because there's people genetically unable to get that big. So there's guys that will, they'll plateau in these smaller divisions.
Yeah.
Like me, I would have to build up to get to these small.
Right.
But for a professional bodybuilder with bodybuilding genetics, sure, start at the physique.
Yeah, but you know, what a lot of people don't understand is the amount. Genetics only takes you so far. I had Dave Palumbo on, and he described what it took to get over 320 pounds. And I even talked about it with Carlos Thomas Jr. And the amount of food that these guys have to eat, I don't know how they do it. I don't know how they don't throw up on a daily basis. The food is here, and they still, and they're still getting. Did you ever hear of what
Arnold? Arnold, his great big mouth. Two or three hamburgers in one shot.
Right. Did you ever hear of Dave Palumbo's shakes that he used to make? He used to
maybe
he used to make these shakes when he was competing, right? And he was like whatever he was, 310, 320. I don't know how.
Chicken?
No, it was a dozen eggs, a dozen whole eggs, and he would put the dozen eggs in the microwave first because he was like scared shitless of salmonella poisoning. And then he would put it in a blender. We're talking like your mom's old school glass blender, not the one that you shake up like now, you know, but the old school glass blender that's like that big. And then he would put peanut butter or almond butter. He would put 2 cups of oatmeal. He would put a pack of Metrics because that was the only protein back then was Metrics.
Oh,
and he was sponsored by Metrics back in the day, and like some kind of apple juice or something like that. And he used to mix it all the way up, and he would get all the way right to the top. And you know the thing, I don't know if you remember the old school blenders, but it was like the glass thing, and then he would lean over the sink. Yeah, I don't. My mother probably does. I don't. But he would lean over the sink and he would drink the whole thing, and then he would have to stay there for a few minutes so he didn't throw it up. And then sometimes he would throw it up and he would make the whole fucking thing over again. And he would have 2 of those a day, and then he'd have 2 of those a day plus another like 7 or 8 meals on top of that. He wouldn't go to bed till 2:00 in the morning to get all the food in. You know,
so they were raw. The eggs were raw.
Well, they were half raw. They were enough to kill the salmonella bacteria. Yeah. So it's just, and a lot of people don't realize that. They just think, you know, oh, I don't, you know, and eating that much is like, it's sickening. You know, it's not. Anyway, that's
part of genetics too, I would think.
Oh,
your insides are like a buffalo, you know.
Yeah. Listen, genetics plays a huge part. Okay. And I learned that the hard way.
It's a slope.
Yeah. And I learned that the hard way. I used to compete, and during the on the NPC level, I would always do good. I would always win or come in second or whatever.
You get your little trophies back.
Yeah,
there.
Exactly. Yeah. But then once I never went to a national level, but I went to a national level show to see what it was like. And so I went, and I had won the Brooklyn Grand Prix Masters overall. This was the last show I did in 2014. So I'm like, all right. Yeah, Masters. Yeah, I know. I'm 47.
How old are you?
I'm 47.
You're 47.
I know. I'm an old fuck. I know.
Yeah, you're an old geezer.
Yeah, I could still get it up though.
Yeah.
It's just have problems getting it in.
Yeah, well. That's a whole other.
Yeah, I mean, I got to do
I've been
everything.
married. I've been married for 12 years, so
Me too, actually. Yeah. So I went to Team Universe, and that was the year John Meadows won. And I remember looking at John Meadows, and I remember went home and said to my wife, "There's no way in the world I'm ever gonna look like that. It's impossible."
I know who John Meadows is. I just
Yeah, he
can't.
passed away. He was a great coach. He was a pro bodybuilder. He was
Oh, John Meadows,
fantastic.
the Meadows
Yeah,
Row, the
right.
Meadows Row.
Yeah,
I know so many bodybuilders that I need to take a second to.
that's okay.
Yeah,
And
no, he had an awesome
I
back.
oh, it was a phenomenal bodybuilder and even a better coach. He was on par of getting, going the way of like Charles Glass or Chris Aceto, because he was training Fuad, he was training Samson Dowda,
I even remember hearing about him and people saying good things about him before he died.
That's right.
And I can't, like, that's so phony when people come on. Oh, he was the greatest person ever. It's like
I can't. Yeah.
I think I remember you dissing that guy.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, because the people are fucking pricks.
John
People,
Meadows, everybody, oh, he's a great coach. Just like you said, Charles Glass. That's
yeah,
some good company to be.
yeah. He was on his way. He was on his way going to Milos, going to Aceto, going to Charles Glass, because he had turned pro and he was training for a couple of years. He trained I forgot who, but he trained a bunch. I know he trained Samson Dowda, and I know Samson Dowda went to Milos only because John died. And I know he trained Fuad. I forgot who else. He had a bunch of guys. Anyway, so I went home and I just knew that I would never be that big or that size, and I was already in my 30s, and I went, "Ah, fuck it. Sometimes you got to be real with yourself,
Mid 30s or early 30s?
I was okay. So it was 2014. How old was I? 37.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, no, 36. Sorry, 36. Yeah, 36.
Aches and pains after you're 40, kind of.
Yeah, and I don't care. I don't care. It just wasn't reality. So I knew it wasn't real. Sometimes you gotta look at yourself in the mirror and go, okay, this is just not reality. I can't do that. And then there are people that waste a lot of time chasing their dream.
Yep.
And they call you
because
negative.
They hear the Ronnie Coleman stories. And
yeah, great. But that's because he was Ronnie Coleman.
Yeah.
I had Brian Dobson on the show, and he actually told me how, Ronnie Coleman walked into the gym, and literally like a week or 2 weeks later, Brian Dobson says, if you compete and represent the gym, I will never charge you a gym fee ever. Has it ever happened to you? That has never happened to me.
Oh yeah, I get free passes all the time.
yeah, exactly. No, but that's never happened to me. So this guy walked in as a Mack truck to begin with, right? And when he was like natural and not even concentrating on bodybuilding, the guy was a freak of nature. You can't, I tell people all the time, don't do.
He can eat.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. Yeah. Anyway, so I wanted to get to you on how you got into bodybuilding, because you really seem to have a well-versed background. I mean, you have this channel that you do, surviving in the outdoors, like off the grid kind of thing. And then you said you were into professional wrestling. So I wanted to see how you got so interested in bodybuilding.
My cousin actually did a bodybuilding show when I was just 5 years old, something like that.
Right.
And I still live in my hometown. We have, 500 people when everybody's home. You know what I mean? It's a little
in Canada, right?
Yeah, Eastern Canada, New Brunswick.
Okay.
So I have this cousin, and he did a bodybuilding show. He brought us, he brought us the tape, whatever. He showed us, and he hauls off his shirt and he's flexing. And we're like, oh, geez, look at this guy. My dad was quite built, but he never looked at a weight. He doesn't diet. He's an old school work,
right.
Eat once at the end of the day type guy.
A real man.
A man's man.
Yeah, exactly. I know exactly what you think.
My cousin, he did bodybuilding shows, and there was local shows, and they were pretty good from what I remember when I was a kid, right? So right away, I loved it. But what I didn't know till years after, my grandfather, who's gone now, he competed in strongman competitions, like
really
back in the old days, like locally. He was never a big guy. He actually placed second in one competition. It was actually in an old magazine, Muscle and Fitness, or one of them old magazines that he placed second in. But it was just crazy that nobody ever really did that stuff back then. But yeah, I hearing about that, seeing the bodybuilding, and then on PBS one time, and I remember I checked it out because I remember telling my dad, like, no, you showed us this show. It was 1987. I
Okay.
would have been 6 years old,
Right.
something like that. And it was a documentary on PBS called Pumping Iron. And
Yeah,
we knew who Arnold was.
everybody knew
Who
Arnold.
Arnold was, and we probably wouldn't even have watched it if my cousin didn't just do a bodybuilding competition.
Right, right, right.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
and I have two older brothers, right? I didn't like Lou. I didn't like Arnold. I loved Franco because I was
Uh,
a little kid, right? My dad was telling me, "Oh no, he's stronger than the other two guys, like physically stronger." And I'm thinking all these things in my head, like I
yeah.
can be stronger than my big brothers, and I could be, you know. And there was boxing, like Mike Tyson was around and everything, and you're smashing everybody's face in, and there's pro wrestling and stuff, which I liked then, but bodybuilding was like,
Yeah.
okay, you can be strong, you can,
Right, 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 right.
and you don't have to beat anybody up, or you don't have to hurt anybody. And
Yeah, during the late 70s into the, I would say maybe 90s, was really the pinnacle of masculinity, when it was like, Sylvester Stallone, Schwarzenegger, Hulk Hogan, like you said, Mike Tyson. Everybody knew who Arnold was. Lou Ferrigno was from the same neighborhood as me in Brooklyn. And
wow,
yeah. And he actually had two gyms. He
you
had one
know
in
Hank
Brooklyn and one in Staten Island. Hank who?
from Pumping Iron, his buddy, his trainer Hank,
Oh
actually.
no, I have no
Pretty
idea.
sure.
No
Yeah,
clue. Yeah,
it was
that was the way. That was that. What year was that made? 74. Yeah, so that was
75.
75. So I wasn't even born yet.
It was
So
released in 77, by the way.
oh, it was. Oh, so I,
Yeah.
I was a year when it came out. So my father's favorite was Franco because he was Italian and my father was Italian.
See,
So
that was
yeah,
my dad telling me,
yeah.
that little
Even
guy's
even though
strongest.
Lou Ferrigno was from the same neighborhood, my father's favorite was always Franco. But because everybody watched that documentary. That was a great documentary. But
They're both
it's
paisanos.
yeah, yeah. Um, but yeah, that's what it was. Everything was, Mike Tyson, boxing. You go down, you just go down the rabbit hole. The movies were action movies. Bodybuilding was at its peak, from Lee Haney to Dorian to Ronnie. Professional wrestling, the guys look like monsters. I watch every once in a while. I'll put on wrestling now, and I'm like, these guys don't even look like wrestlers. They're supposed to be
Watch
in.
it because of that.
It's horrible. It just looks
Can't
like
watch it because of that. See,
like
UFC's cool when you see a guy like Ken Florian walk in there, Royce Gracie walk in there, the least worried guy you'd be at a bar. Yeah. And this guy
right.
beats them up for real
That's
because
different.
it's
Yeah.
real. But we
Right.
have a fantasy world where it's
Right.
we're going to look for the guy that looks the toughest because he
Right.
doesn't have to be the toughest. And
Yeah.
they're not doing that
To
because
me,
everybody's a spoiled little baby, and
oh, it's pathetic.
they have agents crying to the promoters, he needs his turn.
Yeah.
He needs to be the hero for a year. He needs
It's
to be a face.
it's
Well,
just, yeah, it's just garbage. It's the whole industry turned to garbage. But to me, wrestling was like should be when the wrestler, not all of them, don't get me wrong. I know some of them have special talents. But when I was a kid, if a wrestler came was walking down the aisle, your initial attitude had to be, holy shit, look at the fucking size of this monster.
if you see any pro wrestler in the mall, you have to turn to take note.
Right.
You're going to see this guy. Even if you don't know who he is, you're going to be like, oh, he's suffering.
Yeah, exactly.
Doesn't
And it was
happen.
the best way to encapsulate that was because Stallone in Rocky 3, he was very aware of the generation, and he had Hulk Hogan in it. And there's a scene where Hulk Hogan's coming down the aisle and they're supposed to be fighting for charity, the boxer against the wrestler, which has happened plenty of times, right? And Hogan's come down the aisle. Yeah, and Hogan's come down the aisle, and one of his guys said in Stallone's corner says, "Why are they carrying him?" And Mickey, his trainer, goes, "Oh, he's walking." Right, because he's so much bigger than the rest of the crowd.
Big as a dinosaur.
Yeah, and to me, that's what you think. You think Andre the Giant Big John Studd, King Kong Bundy. These guys weren't steroid freaks. These guys were just monsters. Now, don't get me wrong. You had the superstar Billy Grahams and the Hulk Hogan's and whatnot that were monsters as far as muscle. But you had plenty of guys that were just big, big, big men. And now it's like
there's an interesting backstory before I forget about why Hogan fought Rocky.
good.
And I've never heard anybody talk about this. You know why he wrote Rocky 1, right?
Why Stallone wrote Rocky 1? Because Ali and Chuck Wepner.
Exactly.
Right.
You go over to YouTube and type in Chuck Wepner.
Oh, right. He fought Andre the Giant. Yeah.
Andre the Giant. And the same thing, he picked him up
and threw him out of the ring.
It was the same thing. Yeah. So he took that, I think, as a little inside. Like,
definitely. 100%.
Nobody's ever talked about that. And I'm like, that's why he fought Hogan.
Yeah, that's why. Yeah, and it was for charity and so on and so forth. And Ali did the same thing. Ali wrestled
Antonio
Inoki. Yeah, I mean, it was terrible, but
it was a pay-per-view. It was actually one of the first pay-per-views. My dad back in like the 70s, and he said it was the worst thing that he's ever seen.
Yeah, it was just ridiculous. What are you gonna do? You're really gonna tackle and hurt? The great Muhammad Ali. Give me a break.
It was supposed to be a work. But they couldn't agree. So they said, okay, well, we're going to do it. But it has to be all these rules that Ali really couldn't win.
Right. Okay.
You know who the referee for that was?
Who?
Judo Gene LaBelle.
Really?
Yep.
Really?
Because he fought the very first ever MMA fight years before against a boxer.
Okay. And for judo, Gene LaBelle, people who don't know that, he was supposedly a legitimate tough guy, very well versed in jiu-jitsu and wrestling. And they say that he had a confrontation with Bruce Lee, right? And then that actually played out in the movie. What was it? Hollywood. What was the name of the Quentin Tarantino movie where Brad Pitt and Bruce Lee? Once Upon a Time, and that's where supposedly where that idea comes from. But I don't know.
They say Quentin had it. Didn't like Bruce Lee too.
Yeah, I don't. I'll be honest with you. I don't know too much about.
I'm not one of those guys that thinks Bruce Lee was the toughest man in history. I like him, and he was tough, and he was physically fast, strong, things like that. But sure, there was people that could have beat him up. Gene LaBelle could have put him in an armbar. Actually, he taught Bruce Lee a lot about grappling.
Really?
Before that, he didn't know a whole lot.
Yeah, I could believe that. Listen, and I could believe that too, because every time you have a UFC fight where you think somebody is the best of the best, they always sooner or later, they always lose. It's inevitable. They always fucking lose, right? It's just the nature of the beast.
That's why it's ridiculous to think that Bruce Lee was nobody ever would beat him. Because
right.
The best lose. The best lose eventually to somebody that suck.
Yeah, absolutely.
Speaking about Tyson, he lost to the McBride or whatever his name was.
Well, yeah, that was later on, but his first loss was Buster Douglas.
Yeah,
in 1990. But
he should have won. He should have won.
That's right. There was that knockdown, but he was, that's completely different. But what made you start the bodybuilding channel?
I quit wrestling.
Okay, so you were all right. So bring me down that road. Tell me about what the deal was with wrestling.
Oh, goodness. I still love bodybuilding. I always loved bodybuilding. I get magazines. I got the big encyclopedia of bodybuilding.
Mm-hmm.
But really, where was I going to go with it?
Right.
I'm smart as far as how to get there. Like you said, it's pretty difficult. So I'm not about to put myself in a position of trying to be a bodybuilder. So I wanted to get into wrestling. I wanted to get into wrestling because you can have a decent physique, and these people, like if your one arm's bigger than the other, whatever, you could have
nobody gives a shit.
Form bicep. Nobody even knew. Nobody would know.
Right. Yeah.
Or if you were a little guy, they'd still say, "Oh, geez, he's a bodybuilder," right?
Right.
So I wanted to be that type of wrestler, but But anyway, we started a backyard wrestling federation.
Really?
Backyard matches in my other Marks Max Muscle channel.
Oh, okay. Very cool, man.
kind of scary, really.
Yeah. Let me tell you, it was so that was, I'm assuming those were the ECW days.
Maybe even before.
Really?
Maybe even before. Yeah, yeah. We were just teenagers.
Okay. So how far did you take the wrestling?
So we got pretty known around. We're like I said, we're from a small community,
Mm-hmm.
and the nearest city we started wrestling with somebody that lived in there, and they wrestled in the city,
Mm.
St. John. This is
Okay.
actually one of the bigger cities in New Brunswick.
Right.
So they would drive, an hour-long drive out to the country where we live, and we put on wrestling shows like with these other federations. It was cool. We were getting old. We were getting like 18, 19, 20 years old.
Mm-hmm.
We weren't fooling around anymore.
Right.
And I don't know how we did this. We were drunk and stoned. I don't remember. We got a we got a sponsor, and we got these two shysters. I call them shysters.
Yeah, right.
I don't know where we ever found them or they found us, but they told us, "Oh, we're getting a sponsor from a beer company. We're getting a ring. We're getting a ring built. We're gonna go to bars. We're gonna travel around in bars. You guys are all gonna be stars."
Feeding you the dream. I got you.
They got the ring. We wrestled in the bars. Like 400 people, one bar.
Really?
It was jam packed. The ring was made out of solid wood. They
Jesus
did not
Christ.
know how to build a ring. We were breaking our asses. Good thing we were
Yeah.
20 years
Right.
old. Just barely legal enough to get into the bar.
Right.
But the sponsors, they must have paid them, like they paid them back after we did a couple of events. So they
Mm-hmm.
must have gotten more money or something like that, and
Mm-hmm.
they disappeared. They just
Ah, of
Yeah.
course. Yeah.
So there was 5 or 6 or 8 guys sitting there, We didn't do anything wrong. We
Right.
were getting paid like 60, $70 a match. We thought we were gonna be like, "Okay, well, our next step is gonna be WWF."
Yeah.
So
Yeah. We're going
so
right to Vince McMahon. Yeah.
this happened. So 4 or 5 years later, I would say, 4 or 5 years later, one of the guys I wrestled with, I'll name names, Ryan Heath.
Okay.
He was a pretty smart cat, and he got,
Mhm.
some business loan to build a real ring, metal,
Mm.
and that's what
Right.
we learned. It's metal tube, big, thick, square tube, metal all across there. That's
Really?
and plywood on top of that, with little pads, like the little, yoga pads, 2
Ah.
layers,
Okay.
2 layers of that,
Okay.
then plywood, then metal. That's what we
Okay.
landed on. But that's what real wrestlers land on.
Right.
It has a little bit, but people say, "It's not metal, it bounces." I'm like, "Do you ever see a big long metal pole? It bounces."
Yeah,
Yes.
that's right. That's right.
But
Yeah.
anyway, there's no argument. That's what it's made of. But yeah, and he got a gig at a bar. It's like before, a different bar. And this time, we were wrestling without a sponsor.
Okay.
So we had an in. We called it the XWA. XWA, that's right. So that Brian guy, he started it.
Okay.
And we got people coming from all over the place. Oh, there's federations down here that people wrestling in the woods like we were and all. So we got pretty prestigious. So we started wrestling in arenas,
Right.
arenas. And however it happens, we hired some old WWF stars.
Really?
It got to that level. Got to that
Who?
level.
No, you got to ask who.
Marty Jannetty of the
Oh, okay.
Rockers,
Yeah.
awesome guy, and he is a rocker. Wink, wink.
I got. You know what's funny is that every time you listen to an interview of him, it sounds like he's fucking half brain dead. It's like he's just
He's still
mumbling.
wrestling. He's still wrestling.
Really?
Still wrestling.
Oh,
His
okay.
foot's
That
all
explains it.
busted up. And there's a huge group of old ex-wrestlers that are trying to sue WWF. They've been for years about this concussion bullcrap. And they're still wrestling.
Yeah.
They're
Right.
still
Right.
doing it. But
Yeah.
anyway, he was a nice guy, whatever. Ted DiBiase.
Oh,
Really
wow.
know.
Yeah. Had the evil laugh. Yeah. Right. He was. He's like a. What is he now? Is he born again or is a preacher or some shit? No.
minister, some bullcrap. Actually, he got caught for embezzling money.
Did he really?
From his church.
Listen, because you
Don't
can't
tell
get.
me how to perceive God. I said to him. No,
Yeah.
I whatever. But then
apparently God is bad with money. Apparently.
Yeah, the best guy though, and this was all separate events that we had. It was all still with that federation too. Hacksaw Jim Duggan, and he was the nicest guy.
I've always heard that about him on interviews, and because I've watched plenty of people get interviewed on YouTube and whatnot from Wrestling with Dark Side of the Ring, which is a great show. And I've always heard that about Hacksaw Jim Duggan, that he was the nicest guy in the world, and so on and so forth. But I was never a big.
Doobies with him.
Oh, really? I was never a big Hacksaw Jim Duggan fan when I was a kid. He used to come out with the 2x4. What wasn't? I wasn't. No.
I know, me neither. And I did not want to tell him that. I actually liked Kid DiBiase.
Yeah, everybody liked that. He was a prick.
To meet them, it was the opposite.
Oh, okay.
No, Hacksaw is my man.
Yeah. Well, when you get to know somebody, sure.
I have a picture of me and him in the locker room because I didn't wrestle him. I never wrestled any of them. They'd always get the biggest guys from us, the more popular ones. And I was okay, but I never got to be in the ring with any of them. But I got to be in the locker rooms with them, which is pretty friggin' cool.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Not that I can get a word in. Everybody, oh, Mr. DiBiase, Mr. DiBiase. It's like, will you guys relax?
Yeah, right.
So
how did you go from that to doing the bodybuilding podcast?
Well, I wrestled up until the XWA folded. Started wrestling another couple other federations. Like I said, there was other federations, and they let me wrestle with them a couple times, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But I was a hard drinker, a very, very hard drinker. That's what you did when you were on the road, because you would travel, you'd get lost, and the drinkers would be like, great, I got lots of beer. I developed quite a drinking problem.
Okay.
So I quit. I quit. I had to quit.
Pull yourself out of the scene. So I got you. Okay.
I pulled myself up off the ground and quit drinking, and wrestling was not the same.
Now, that was what you were doing full time as a job? You were wrestling?
No, I was never full time.
Okay.
I worked a labor job. I was construction. I was in construction. I did that. I wrestled the odd Wednesday, but usually it was Saturday, Sunday. Actually, Friday after work, I'd be out in the sun all day working, and then go try to wrestle. Eyes all bloodshot from being out in the sun. Everybody thought I was drunk then, and I never drank before my matches. I never drank before my matches.
Right.
Always after my matches, but never before.
Okay, so you left. You were drinking. You quit because you wanted to get away from the toxic environment that was wrestling. And then how did you decide? Okay,
maybe didn't realize it was a toxic environment until I was off the alcohol.
Okay, all right, well, all right, I got you.
I just couldn't do it sober. Couldn't wrestle sober.
Well, I mean, that's the tale of most professional wrestlers. I don't know about today, but back in the day, I mean, all you got to do is watch Dark Side of the Ring, and you're like, Jesus Christ, these guys were nuts,
Well, your knees so busted up or something, or your ankle, you can't walk.
Right.
It's like, you're drunk, you don't care.
Yeah, taking painkillers, taking cortisone shots.
You hear about these stories about the wrestlers, how tough they are. They walked out, hobbled out with a broken leg.
Yeah. So exactly. So okay, so then tell me what made you start the bodybuilding podcast. So this whole time you were still a bodybuilding fan.
Oh, I always just wouldn't shut up about bodybuilding.
Me too, man.
We'd have the odd bodybuilder that would come wrestle with us, and I'd be like, talk through. They'd be like, oh, geez, bodybuilding? Yeah. They talk about bodybuilding. So I was watching Louis Marco. I was watching Tominator, Nick Strength Power.
Yeah.
And my wife said, why don't you make your own channel?
Yeah, you could do that. My wife didn't do that. I told my wife I was making my own channel. And she went, okay. I could tell my wife, listen, we're going to the moon this weekend. She'd be like, okay.
Yeah.
Which is good and bad. It's good because
speaking of which, I think my wife just arrived home.
She's making a cameo.
Yeah.
But so your wife says you should do this. So you were like, okay, go ahead.
So she started it for me.
And when did you actually start the actual YouTube channel on bodybuilding?
2017.
Okay, all right, that's pretty
And
good.
I never covered anything. I didn't cover any bodybuilding. And
What'd you
that's
do?
why I did a profile on Robbie Robinson or profile on Dorian Yates.
Like a
And
history of.
yeah, show their career with
That's
this
actually how
motorcycle.
is it? That's how Nick's Strength and Power started, right?
Yeah, he had some videos about the truth of natural bodybuilding, I think
Yeah.
was the first one that came up on mine.
Okay. You know what's funny is mine was a little different. I started my bodybuilding podcast only in January, but like I said, I was doing a what do you call it? Variety show, which didn't work. It didn't work out well. I had to change things up. But anyway, so I started in January, and by that point, between the actual competing, between I used to work backstage at the shows as an expediter. I had made several connects, and I was able to actually, get some people on, and but the biggest break I had as far as the bodybuilding was when Samson Dowda agreed to come on my show in the first 6 months that I started it.
Wow.
And yeah,
Oh,
and
you have a Samson interview on your channel right now?
I have the one. Well, he came on again right after he won the Arnold.
Oh,
Right.
cool.
Yeah. And what happened was like 3 years ago was during COVID, and this was when he got locked in his hotel room in South Korea. Listen to me, North Korea, South
That's the
Korea.
first time I think that's one of the first times I've ever heard of him.
Yeah.
He
That's
was
when he
he
started.
was pumping up in his hotel room. He had nothing really to work out with.
Yeah. Nothing to eat, nothing to work out with,
Poor guy.
and it was during that time after he finished that I reached out to him because I was a big fan of Fuad and Hostel, And I reached out to him on Instagram, and he's like, "Yeah, okay, no problem, I'll come on." And he came on, and I was so grateful because it's like, wow, I can't believe I just got like, and I kind of knew that he was not that I knew, but I just had the instinct that this guy's going to be good because he had the he was half the size 3 years ago. You know what I mean? Now he's
Oh,
one of
yeah.
the one of the best in the world and just a monster of a man. But he had a good structure, and just talking to him and interviewing him, you could tell that he had the work ethic. And I was like, if nothing happens like a severe injury, this guy's gonna go far. And I knew that, and I even told
That's
him
another
that.
thing. He doesn't seem like too crazy. Like you got guys jumping off stages and hurting
Yeah,
themselves.
right. No. But think about that. He went to South Korea during COVID, where a lot of people decided I'm not going to compete that year, where he was locked in his hotel and he couldn't eat. They didn't have the right food for him. They didn't have anything for him. He couldn't work out. And they only told him to go to stage and go right back to the hotel, compete and go right back to the hotel. So think about that mindset that he was like, I'm competing no matter what. So that mindset right away is a champion's mindset. Like nothing's going to stop me, not even
Would have
this
been,
crisis,
would
right?
have been like competing in the 90s.
What do you mean?
Well, I'm sure some of them went through stuff like that.
No, a global epidemic,
Oh,
a
no.
pandemic
I
rather.
mean, like going and traveling, going over there and not having
No, but
enough
it
food.
was no, but it was different because they were able to get out of the hotel because of the
Oh yeah,
pandemic. He
no,
was trapped in his hotel,
yeah,
and he did the show, and I think he did 2 shows that year, and they had to wear the mask and whatnot, and so and then talking to him, and then I knew he was training with John Meadows, and then John Meadows had died, and it picked up Milos, and you could just tell by talking to him that he had the work ethic. You get and then there are some people you interview and you go, all right, this guy doesn't have the same work ethic or whatever. You kind of have to read between the lines a little bit. And I actually told him in the interview 3 years ago, and I actually put it in the new interview. I was like, I believe you can win the Arnold Classic one day because you have that structure. And if you just put on enough size, you have the classic physique that the Arnold Classic loves.
and he
The
can
set,
pose.
and he could pose. Cedric McMillan's, you go down the list, the Flex Wheelers, the Kevin Levrons, you have that structure. And it came true. I guess I was Nostradamus before I realized I was Nostradamus. I think that's gonna be my calling, man. I think I'm gonna get popular because I predict bodybuilding contests.
But doesn't he wear like a little cap or something?
Yeah, I gotta get like a picture of him or something. Yeah, that stupid
Gonna get a
fucking.
bowl of water and stare at a
Yeah,
bowl.
it was the only one that I really fucked up was the one that was in Europe because I don't know the European guys too well, so I can only go on what I see.
The
Well, the one that oh, what's his name one?
man, the big man, or Mr. Big,
Not
Andrea.
the one that yeah, the one that Andrea Presti won. Yeah, the one that
He
he
won that
won.
3 times in a row.
Oh, really? See, yeah,
Portugal?
yeah,
No,
yeah. I think it
Portugal.
was Portugal. Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, yeah. That it is. It is. It's Portugal.
See,
Yeah.
last year, his trainer or coach jumped up on the stage and he pucked his knee off the stage.
No, I didn't see that. I didn't see that.
Oh,
I got to
you
check
didn't
that
see
out.
that?
No,
Oh,
not at all. So I thought for sure Vlad. Uh, I can't pronounce his name. Zhukaruko. I just call him Vlad the Impaler.
Vladislav Sokoruchku.
I thought he was going to win. I predicted him to
Me
win.
too. Me too.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah,
And I figured, and I predicted Presti to come in second,
me too.
but I was fucking way off.
Me too. Yeah, his delts I think were Jimmy rigged or something.
Who's that? Vlad?
Sokoruchku.
Oh,
Vlad.
really?
I don't know. That's the only thing I can think of.
I have no idea. The truth of the matter is, I just have not seen good pictures of that show, except for the one in the top five. Because he came in like sixth. I'm like, fucking really? He came in sixth.
Yeah, it's terrible they don't have picture quality. You go over to the MPC. MPC, they have Gilco Productions. You see
Yeah,
Gilco Productions, and you can see these people aren't even pros, and you can see them. You can see the skin moving underneath or the muscles moving
yeah,
underneath.
yeah, yeah. You're right. The
That's
NPC
the
has better
serious.
quality for some reason. I don't know why, but that happens.
The Arnold Classic, they tried to bury that. They didn't want us to see how, it doesn't make sense. These
No,
pro
I
shows,
don't.
they should give the fans access to what these guys look like.
And they should also, I think, would be what would pull in more viewers is if they would spend time backstage with the cameras while these guys are pumping up and talking and seeing what they do and so on and so forth, instead of just propping them up in the beginning and say first guy out, second guy out, first guy out. It would be more like because everybody wants to know like the intimate parts of a bodybuilder, right? I mean, that's why Fuad has like a day in the life with James Hollingshead or a day in the life with Samson Dowd, so you get to see what they're really like. So it would be cool to see how they interact backstage. I don't know why I'm the only person that thought of this. It's pretty fucking simple.
Back there calling each other crackheads.
Yeah, but if that's the case, then
Like in 2004, remember?
what was that in 2004?
Well, Jay Cutler said that he's going to take out Ronnie. He's going to take him down, beat him.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You must be smoking crack. That's right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's right. Yeah. How could you not? Hey, Ronnie is the kind of guy that can call you a crackhead and you still love him.
Oh,
like,
absolutely.
How do you not like that guy?
Absolutely.
Jay's
the type of guy too that doesn't. I don't care what he says to me.
Yeah, I had Jay on.
Cutler, I'm big. I don't know why I'm so big.
Yeah. That's a pretty good impersonation. But I had Jay Cutler on actually, and the first half of the interview, I just talked about how he became a millionaire. We talked about business and what he went into to get that rich.
I always had a big brain. So
yeah. It was pretty interesting interview actually.
Jay personally, like personality wise, one of my favorites.
Yeah.
One of
he is clearly next to Schwarzenegger, the guy that did the most for bodybuilding off stage. Clearly, he is such a great ambassador for the sport and he makes you feel welcome. The first time I met him, it was the Olympia in 2017 or something like that. Me and my wife went to Las Vegas and we waited in line, and whatever, I don't remember. We waited like 20 minutes or a half hour, whatever. And he took a picture with me, and then he brings my wife over. He's like, "No, you're getting a picture too." And he spoke to me for a few minutes, and he just makes you feel welcome. And it is because a lot of these bodybuilders, they don't have that much. They tend to be, well, the whole sport is self-indulged. Everything revolves around you, right? So if you're not a selfish person to begin with, you kind of have to become one in order to be.
Nice to see him treating it as a
sport. Yeah, exactly. Which is
in
the whole.
Mind, he looked the best when he was not so big.
Yeah.
He got big to win.
That right. And I've said this too, and this is very controversial, but I've said this before. I was like, when Jay Cutler was Mr. Olympia, and I'm gonna take shit for this, but I don't care. It's my opinion, and I think my opinion is rooted in fact. There was a low point in bodybuilding. You know, you went from the Ronnie days where Ronnie was beating guys like Flex and Kevin Levrone, and you go down the line, those guys were gone. Jay Cutler was Mr. Olympia, and it was in between the Ronnie days and the Phil days. Phil had Kai and Dennis Wolf and Sean Roden and those guys.
Absolutely, it was a low point.
And Jay Cutler was like beating, Dexter, who was a smaller bodybuilder at the time. Well, he always was a smaller bodybuilder. He had Branch, Victor Martinez, which, let's face it, Victor probably should have won that one, right? And that was really controversial. But it was during a weak point of bodybuilding. And then when Phil came and Kai came and Dennis Wolf,
it was a big battle between Jay and Ronnie, and it's like it's over. It's like, oh, okay, I've seen it.
Right. And then once Jay won, and he had the title, it was there was a low point of bodybuilders, and like I said, you had Branch, you had Dexter, but Dexter got even better, after he won the Olympia. In my opinion, it was just that the better bodybuilders came along.
The 08 Dexter was not the best Dexter.
No, he wasn't, but he was best.
My opinion.
No, I agree. And he was the best on that stage, though. He got better.
Yeah, no, I don't dispute that.
He got better as after that, but the bodybuilders, just the quality of the bodybuilders got better. When Kai first broke out, everybody was like, "What the fuck is that?" It was almost like a Ronnie Coleman experience. Like, who the fuck is it? And the same thing with Phil Heath. Phil Heath
Kai actually beat Phil at the Olympia.
No, in the Arnold.
Well, he beat him at the Olympia too.
How do you figure?
Because he placed ahead of him.
Oh! I thought you meant when he was Mr. Olympia. Oh, I apologize.
No.
Yeah.
No,
but yeah,
2009.
Yes, you're right. You're right. Well, I think that was Phil's first Olympia, right?
No,
it wasn't.
No. 08. He did awesome. He placed third.
09 was when he had the stomach bug.
Yeah, he got.
That's right. He had
food poison, whatever.
That's right. Okay, yeah, that's exactly what happened. Right.
Keep it down. I'm gonna go on stage.
That's right. But to me,
then 2010, he came back and
he wrecked everybody.
And then I dropped the ball in 2010.
Yeah,
Ronnie Raquel beat him.
That's right. Oh my God, you're better at this than me. Holy shit, you're better at this shit than me. Holy shit. I'll tell you, I'll be honest with you, I lost all respect for Kai after that commotion on the stage when he fucking whipped his hair around and bumped into Phil and was in his face.
There's no need of it.
Yeah, there really was. And it's like, dude, come on. I understand that I tried putting myself in his shoes. It's like, okay, here's this one guy on planet Earth that I can't beat. One. And if it wasn't for this guy, if this guy wasn't alive, I would be Mr. Olympia over and over and over again. So I could understand the frustration, but you still have to. You gotta
be thinking Jay Cutler,
Ronnie
Coleman. You gotta be thinking that. You gotta look at their genetics, the way things played out.
Right.
Phil Heath, he lost. Kai still looked like Kai.
Yeah. And then when it really sealed the deal for me, when I lost respect for Kai Green, is when he cried on camera when he didn't do the Olympia, didn't sign the contract, and he had that. I forgot what year it was. He didn't sign the contract to do the Olympia, and he wanted a booth. He had his own supplement company, and he wanted the booth for free. He had handlers that wanted the booth for free at the Olympia, and the Olympia.
Maybe.
I don't remember. 2000 when?
19 maybe.
No, it was before that. It was like when was it? Well, it was either 15 or 16. Yeah, I think it might have been 15. Yeah. And then he videoed himself crying that he made a mistake. I mean, call me a cold bastard, but I can't stand when a grown man cries unless your mother died or your dog.
But his mother didn't die.
Yeah, no, he just didn't do the Olympia. Yeah. You
ever watch Trailer Park Boys?
No. I know the
Boys.
I know the movie, but I never actually watched it.
It was a pretty good show. They were like the two nerd guys seeing Ricky and Julian hugging, and he's like, It's okay to hug a guy if his dad died, and the other guy's like, his dad didn't die.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, no, it's the truth. I can't stand when I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the old, maybe I'm the Gen X coming out in me or whatever, but I can't stand when I see guys cry for no reason. Like, I fucking hate it. Like, I went to a wedding, right? And the groom was crying. And I'm like, well, you really want to marry this guy? He's a sobbing slob right now.
What a sickening display of it.
Yeah, it's just like, Jesus Christ. Anyway. So
I cry
what's
when I cut onions.
yeah. Look, no, don't get me wrong. Listen, I'll be honest with you. I got choked up a little bit this weekend, and I'll tell you why. Choked up. I didn't cry. My mother
You
was
see one of
88.
them commercials?
No, no, it wasn't. It wasn't one of the Hallmark commercials. But I'll explain. My mother is 88 years old, and I live the furthest from my mother. My mother lives in New York, and my brothers still live in New York, but I live in Jersey. So on the weekends, I go to my mother because she's so old now that she always needs somebody to take care of her. So we take chance of peace. So weekends are my turn. So I go there on a Sunday, and she's 88. She can barely walk anymore, and she wants to go to church. Typical Italian. She wants to go to church. No problem. I'll take you to church. And I have to hold her to walk, and she's saying, breathing heavy, and she wants to go see. She puts the money in the whatever the thing, so she could light a candle. So she puts like $5 in, and she lights the candle for Saint Teresa, and then she lights the candle for Jesus, and then she holds my arm, and the Blessed Mother is on the like maybe 10 feet away, and she holds my arm and she goes, "I want to go see the Blessed Mother," and that's when I was like, Ugh. It was all because it was almost like I need to make amends before I die and go to heaven. I need to go see the Blessed Mother. That's how I took at it, the way she told me. Because we never go see the Blessed. It's always Saint Teresa and like Jesus right next to him, and that's it. And I was like, and inside I was like, I said, all right, Ma, I took her or whatever, But that was,
JC.
yeah,
JC.
that was the last time I cried, my father died. I don't know. I'm not much of a crier. I don't get it. I don't know. Anyway, we're getting off topic. So
That's
what
J-
is
JC?
that's double impact? What's his name?
Jean-Claude.
Oh,
JC.
Wrong
Actually,
JC. So what's happening with Mark's Max Muscle? What's coming up? What are you going to be doing now? Yeah. Oh God. Yeah.
that's from the movie. It's from the movie.
Yeah.
Corey Everson, female bodybuilder.
That's right. Yeah, she was a knockout.
She was in the movie.
Oh, was she really? I didn't know that. I was never a big Sean Claude fan.
What?
Yeah, it's not. I'm sorry, man, but Chuck Zito knocked him out, right?
He's an actor.
Yeah.
Of course, a fighter can beat him up. Not Steven Seagal, though.
No.
Don't
But
even
a real Hell's Angels kicked the shit out of him.
Well, no. For an actor, he's tough.
Oh, for an actor, okay.
He can beat up Matt Damon.
That's like saying, you know what that's like saying? That's like saying for a politician, Hillary Clinton's pretty hot.
Maybe Kim Campbell.
Yeah, right. All right. So, what is the future of Mark's Max Muscle?
The future is not set, but it is uncertain. No, I just keep pumping them out keep pumping them out.
How many do you do a week or a day, or this is what you do? Do you do this full time?
Yeah.
This is what you do full time?
This is my full-time job.
Oh, that's great. Hopefully I can get there one day where I could do it full time. I'm still working. I'm a sewer worker in New York City, and that's why I have to do these late at night because I work till 7. Sewer. I work underneath. I work in the sewer. Yeah.
You work for a living like I used to.
Yeah. Exactly. It's
the dream come true.
It's a great job, except that it's disgusting.
Yeah, my job stunk too.
Well, I don't mind my job because I like being around guys that are like me, and we're always fucking breaking balls constantly and having fun at work. And it's a disgusting job, right? I mean, I'm in shit up to my ankles, right? But
it's you're the number one company in the number 2 industry.
Yeah, yeah, and so my whole idea was like to do something that I really like, but also have a second income. So that's why I'm hoping the bodybuilding channel will blow up, which I'm sure it will, because it's a good channel.
Mine never really blew up.
It took time.
Yeah, which
That's
is
fine.
good
It's fine. It's fine
because
with me.
once you build a base,
Yeah.
it's like you can fall down and it's like, okay, well, that's fine because I'm down here. And when you have that many videos,
Yeah.
they're all still getting revenue, right?
Right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
Which
probably
is
have 2,957 videos out.
That's fantastic, man. Good. Great. Yeah. So that's what people need to go to Mark's Max Muscle. He covers everything about bodybuilding. He gives his educated opinion on bodybuilding. And we have to do this again. You know, maybe I'll have you on Muscle Talk because I do this thing where I have Muscle Talk once a week with me and Jason Owens. You know who Jason Owens is, right? He's a retired pro bodybuilder. He was a 212 guy,
Okay.
and he's from Jersey, and he has his own supplement line called I Prevail Subs.
I
And then
probably
I'm sorry.
I've probably seen him before.
Yeah. He was an Olympian for, you know, he's won several bodybuilding shows, but he turned pro when there was no 212, you know, and then there was a 202 and he jumped in 202.
Do you know the year, the first year of the 212?
Of the 212?
You know me. You know me. I know this one.
Yeah, you're good. You're better at this than I am. I
Well,
don't
there's a little trick to remember it.
2012. So it'd be 2012.
I'm gonna tell you the trick that I use to remember this, and you will always remember it.
Okay, good.
Who was the smallest Olympia champion since the 90s?
Smallest Open
Dexter.
Olympiad. Okay, Dexter. Yeah.
He was the smallest champion since like Lee Haney.
Okay. Right.
Maybe even before that. That was the year 2008 that they
Oh,
had.
really? That they went for 212? Really?
Yeah.
Ah.
And just
Okay.
so happens that year
212 or 202?
it was 202. It was not 212.
Okay. Oh, that's what I thought. Okay. Yeah.
It was not 212.
Yeah, Kevin English was the 202 champ for a little
Kevin
while.
English won first, I believe.
Yeah.
And then oh gosh darn it. You know
After him it was
you know who it is. He used to compete in the open all the time. He still competes. He's old.
I know. Yeah,
He's an older guy.
I know who you're talking about, but my brain is dead.
I cannot think of his name.
Yeah, I can't. Yeah, it is. All right, man. Listen, I'm gonna let you go. I'm gonna email this to you. You want me to send it to your email, right? The one you the second email.
Send it to the wife,
and I'll send it there. And you know, listen, man, it was really a great talk. I'm always happy to speak to somebody who loves bodybuilding as much as I do. There's not too many of us, you know. Globally, there's a lot of us. But
seems like you either love it or
you don't know nothing. Yeah, it's like hockey. Either you know everything or you don't know nothing. Yeah, exactly. But Mark, man, I truly appreciate it. Mark's Max Muscle, great bodybuilding channel. I'm subscribed to it. Go and take a look, and also subscribe to mine, Serious and Silliness Bodybuilding.
Yes. You Mark's Max Muscle. Don't be a what do they call it? A freeloader. Subscribe to Silliness and Serious and
Silliness Bodybuilding.
It's a tongue twister and a half.
Yeah. And go and get yourself a masculine pride shirt too.
They don't let us hunt whales anymore.
No, I think people are. I only sold one of these shirts. I think people are afraid to wear them. All right, Mark, listen, man. Have a good night, brother. We'll talk soon.
Good. It was nice. We'll have to definitely do it again.
You got it, bro. I'll talk to you soon. Later.
Yep. See you, man.